The human soldier chose the ugliest alien princess as his reward, but then she revealed her true. Sergeant Lucas Carter sat on the edge of the landing platform, staring at the scorched battlefield below. Smoke still rose from the ruins of the Korvath outpost. The fight had lasted for months, and every human soldier felt the weight of it in their bones. Lucas had survived, but he had lost friends, comrades, and even some of his own courage along the way. Yet here he was, alive and finally free to make a choice that no one had expected. The Council of the Korvath Empire had called him to the Victory Hall. It was a huge space, circular, with high ceilings that glittered with alien lights. Aliens of every kind, from tall, thin creatures with shiny skin to short, fur-covered ones with many eyes, filled the hall. All were dressed in elaborate robes or military uniforms, and all watched Lucas with interest. Whispers moved through the crowd like wind in dry grass. They had heard about the human soldier who had never retreated, never flinched, and never surrendered. Now they wanted to see what he would ask for as a reward. "Sergeant Carter," spoke a voice in perfect Galactic common. It came from the head of the council, a towering alien with green scales and 3 eyes. "You have served well. You may choose your reward, any land, any wealth, or one of our royal brides. It is yours." Lucas took a slow breath. He had imagined this moment 1,000 times. Many humans would have chosen a spaceship, advanced weapons, or an entire planet to rule. Many expected him to pick the most beautiful alien bride, one with long, glowing hair and perfect skin. Everyone in the hall thought that a human would always choose beauty over sense. Lucas's eyes scanned the line of princesses. They all stood silently, waiting, adorned in their ceremonial dresses, their heads high, their expressions polite. One by one, he looked at them, nodding politely. Then his gaze fell on a figure at the far end. She stood apart from the others. Her skin was dull and uneven, her horns twisted at strange angles, and her posture seemed shy, almost sad. She did not smile, and her quiet presence drew no attention. Most in the hall ignored her, some even laughed quietly. Lucas walked calmly toward her. The whispers grew louder. "Why would he choose her?" one alien muttered. "He must be joking," another said. People were shocked. The council members frowned. The royal family looked confused and annoyed. "I choose Princess Vila," Lucas said, his voice steady. For a moment the hall went silent. Then laughter erupted. Some aliens could not believe what they had heard. They pointed at her, whispered cruelly, and smiled at the idea of a human soldier picking someone they all considered ugly. Lucas did not flinch. He turned toward Vila. She had not moved. Her small, dark eyes looked up at him, wide and uncertain. "Why me?" she asked, her voice soft, almost inaudible. "Because you deserve respect," Lucas said simply. "Not everyone deserves a reward based on beauty. You deserve someone who sees who you are, not just what you look like." Vila blinked. No one had ever said anything like that to her before. Most people avoided her, mocked her, or stared at her like she was a mistake. Now a human soldier, a hero who had faced death 1,000 times, stood before her and looked at her without fear, without disgust, without judgment. She swallowed. I do not understand." Lucas smiled faintly. "You will, but first we must leave this place. It is not safe for either of us here." The council did not protest loudly, though they exchanged worried glances. Some muttered to one another, and one of the older princesses whispered, "He must be foolish." Another said, "He has chosen a curse." But Lucas ignored them all. He only thought about getting off this planet and away from the eyes that judged too quickly. The journey from the council hall to the docking bay was tense. Vila walked beside Lucas, her hands hidden in the folds of her robe. She spoke little, and Lucas did not push her. He understood the weight she carried. Every step was careful, every glance over her shoulder cautious. She had lived her life as the one no one wanted. She had learned to hide, to be small, to make herself invisible. Now someone had chosen her publicly, openly, in front of the whole galaxy. As they boarded the human shuttle, the whispers followed them. Aliens crowded the windows, some sneering, some curious, some still laughing quietly. Lucas ignored them all. He focused on getting to a quiet place where Vila could speak without fear. Once inside, she finally let out a shaky breath. I thought humans liked beautiful things," she said softly. Not me." Lucas nodded. "Some do, but not all. I judge people by what they do, how they think, and how they treat others. I see your courage." "Courage?" Vila asked, surprised. "Yes," Lucas said. "To live as you have, knowing how others see you and still survive, still move forward, that is courage." For the first time, Vila felt a small spark of hope. She had never known anyone like him. Humans, in her experience, had either feared her, ignored her, or treated her as a curiosity. Lucas treated her as a person. The shuttle lifted from the landing platform, leaving the smoking battlefield and the shocked aliens behind. Outside the windows, the stars shone cold and distant. Vila pressed her face against the glass, watching as her homeworld became smaller and smaller. She did not know what the future held, but for the first time she felt that she might have someone on her side. "Where are we going?" she asked quietly. "Somewhere safe," Lucas replied. "Somewhere you can be yourself without fear. We have time to talk, to get to know each other before anyone else can interfere." She nodded slowly. She wanted to believe him, though a part of her feared it was too good to be true. Humans, after all, had a way of disappointing others, or so she had learned. But Lucas seemed different. Calm, steady, unafraid. The journey through space was long and quiet. Lucas focused on piloting the shuttle, checking navigation, monitoring energy levels. Vila mostly stayed in the corner, watching the stars, listening to the hum of the engines. She had questions, many questions, but she did not yet have the courage to ask them. Instead, she observed Lucas. His hands were steady, his eyes focused, and when he spoke, he did so with patience and clarity. After hours of travel, Vila finally spoke. "Why did you fight for humans?" she asked. Lucas glanced at her. "Because someone had to, because leaving injustice and cruelty unchecked only makes it stronger, because I promised myself that I would not run from what was right, no matter how hard it was." She considered this. "Humans are small," she said slowly, "compared to other species, yet you face them all." "Size does not matter," Lucas said. "What matters is will, what matters is courage. Humans have both, even if others underestimate us." The words resonated with Vila. She had always been underestimated, dismissed, and feared. Suddenly, she understood that Lucas saw something in her that no one else had. She wanted to trust him, though fear still clung to the edges of her mind. As night fell in the shuttle and the stars passed by like rivers of light, Vila finally asked the question that had haunted her all her life. "Why me, really? Why choose the one everyone avoids?" Lucas looked at her steadily. "Because sometimes the strongest, the bravest, and the most valuable are the ones no one notices. And because you deserved someone who sees you as you are, not as the galaxy thinks you should be." She did not know how to respond. Words seemed too small for what she felt. Gratitude, fear, hope, and something new, a sense of possibility, swirled inside her. The shuttle continued through the quiet darkness of space, carrying two unlikely companions. One, a human soldier who had fought against impossible odds and survived. The other, an alien princess who had lived her life in shame and isolation. Together, they moved toward an uncertain future, where trust, courage, and unexpected choices might change not only their lives but the fate of many worlds. As part of that quiet night, Vila finally dared to look at Lucas and smile. It was small, hesitant, but it was real. And for the first time in her life, she felt seen, understood, and maybe even safe. Lucas returned the smile, simple, calm, and reassuring, and the stars outside seemed a little brighter, as if the universe itself approved of their choice. In the weeks and months to come, Lucas and Vila would face dangers, enemies, and challenges unlike anything they had known. But this first journey, this quiet flight away from a galaxy that mocked them, was the beginning of something greater. A bond forged in trust, courage, and the courage to see beyond appearances. The shuttle glided through the quiet emptiness of space, stars stretching like silver. Threads across the darkness. Lucas Carter kept his eyes on the controls, but he was aware of Vila beside him. She sat quietly, her fingers tracing the edges of her robe, as if seeking comfort from the soft fabric. She seemed smaller than ever in the human-sized cockpit, and Lucas could not help but feel a strange protectiveness toward her. "You do not talk much," he said, breaking the silence. Vila looked at him, her eyes dark and thoughtful. "I have nothing worth saying," she replied softly. Her voice was quiet, almost like a whisper, but Lucas caught every word. "I think that is not true," he said. "Everyone has something to say, it just depends on who listens." She frowned slightly, unsure how to respond. She was not used to people listening, not really. Most people only pretended to listen before dismissing her, but Lucas was different. She felt it, even if she could not explain why. "Why do humans fight?" she asked after a long pause. "Why risk lives for something meaningless?" Lucas sighed, keeping his eyes on the navigation screen. Fighting is never meaningless, he said. Sometimes it is about survival, sometimes it is about protecting others. And sometimes it is about proving to yourself that you will not give up, even when everything seems impossible. Vila considered this. She had watched humans from afar during council meetings, thinking them fragile and weak. Yet Lucas had survived battles that would have destroyed most species twice his size. Maybe humans were stronger than they looked. Maybe strength was not just in muscles or claws, but in will and courage. "You are strong," she said quietly. "Stronger than anyone I have met." Lucas glanced at her and gave a small smile. "And you are strong too. Maybe you do not see it yet, but I do." For a moment, Vila looked away, embarrassed. No one had ever said something like that to her. She had lived her life as the outcast, the one everyone avoided. Now a human, someone from another world entirely, was telling her she was strong. It felt strange, and it felt good. The shuttle traveled for hours without interruption. Lucas occasionally checked the communication panels to make sure no one was tracking them. He knew the Korvath Empire would not like his choice, and some factions might even try to capture or kill them. He had seen what fear could make people do, and he was not willing to let anyone hurt Vila. Vila broke the silence again. "I do not understand humans," she said slowly. "Some fear us, some ignore us, some hate us, and yet you are not afraid of me, you do not mock me. Why?" Lucas did not answer immediately, he thought carefully. "Because fear and hate are easy," he said finally. "They make people feel safe or powerful. But I have learned that real courage is seeing others for who they are, not for what you are told they are. I see you, Vila, not what others say you should be." She blinked, surprised by his words. No one had ever said such things to her. Her life had been filled with whispers, sneers, and avoidance. Now she felt a strange warmth, a feeling she could not name. Maybe it was hope, maybe it was trust, maybe it was the start of something she had never allowed herself to believe in. As the hours passed, Vila began to speak more. She told Lucas about her childhood, about the halls of the royal palace where she had been shunned, about the cruel lessons designed to make her conform, about the whispered insults that followed her everywhere. Lucas listened without interrupting, nodding occasionally, asking gentle questions. He never judged, he never looked away. "Everyone laughed at me," she said. "Even my family. They called me ugly, cursed, useless. They expected me to hide, to be quiet, to disappear, and I did. I survived by being nothing." Lucas reached out and placed a hand on her shoulder. It was a simple gesture, but it carried weight. "You were never nothing," he said. "You survived because you are brave. Being brave does not mean facing weapons or armies. It can mean surviving when the world tells you to fail. You did that. That is strength." Vila's eyes filled with tears, but she quickly blinked them away. She had not cried in years. No one had seen her cry, no one had cared. Now she felt seen, she felt valued. It was uncomfortable, yes, but it was also freeing. "I do not know how to be normal," she admitted quietly, "how to live without fear or hiding." "You do not have to be normal," Lucas said firmly. "You only have to be yourself, and I will help you." She looked at him, startled by his certainty. Most people would have laughed, avoided her, or treated her like a mistake. Lucas treated her like a person, an equal. For the first time, she wondered if she could be more than the ugly princess everyone rejected. Maybe she could be strong, maybe she could be free. The shuttle passed through a dense asteroid field, forcing Lucas to adjust the controls rapidly. Vila watched him, impressed by his skill and focus. She had always believed that humans were fragile and reckless, but Lucas proved her wrong again. He was calm under pressure, precise and unshakable. "You never hesitate," she said, her voice a mixture of admiration and disbelief. Lucas shrugged. "Hesitation can get you killed. I learned long ago that fear slows you down, focus saves you, action saves you." Vila nodded slowly. She had seen hesitation destroy armies, ruin plans, and bring shame. Lucas's words were simple, but they carried truth. She began to realize that humans were not only clever, but also resilient in ways her people underestimated. As the shuttle moved farther from her homeworld, Vila began to relax slightly. She still felt fear, yes, but it was no longer a constant, suffocating weight. Lucas had a way of making her feel safe, even in the emptiness of space. She wanted to believe in him, wanted to trust him, but a part of her still worried. Could she truly escape the judgment of the galaxy? Could she ever be more than what everyone had told her she was? "Do you ever feel afraid?" she asked after a long silence. Lucas thought for a moment. "Of course, every day, fear is natural, but I do not let it control me. I act in spite of it." Courage is not the absence of fear, it is moving forward even when you are afraid. Vila considered this. She had lived her life hiding from fear, letting it guide every action. Maybe courage was different. Maybe courage was moving forward despite fear, not running from it. Over the next few days, Vila and Lucas settled into a routine. She helped with minor tasks on the shuttle, learned about human tools and equipment, and slowly became more comfortable speaking with Lucas. He encouraged her curiosity, answered her questions patiently, and never mocked her mistakes. She began to see him not only as her protector, but also as a teacher and friend. One evening, as the shuttle drifted past a cluster of glowing nebulae, Vila finally asked the question that had haunted her for years. Lucas, why did you choose me? Really? Everyone else was perfect, beautiful, powerful. Why me? Lucas paused, considering. Because sometimes the ones no one notices are the ones who matter most. Because strength is not always visible. Because courage, wisdom, and loyalty cannot be judged by appearance. And because I see you, Vila, I see who you are inside, and that is more important than anything else. For a long time, Vila said nothing. She simply stared at him, processing his words. No one had ever looked at her like that. No one had ever chosen her for who she was. It was terrifying, overwhelming, and strangely comforting. I do not know what to say, she admitted finally. Say nothing, Lucas said with a small smile. Just be yourself, that is enough. And for the first time in her life, Vila felt that it was enough. She did not have to hide, she did not have to conform, she did not have to be what others expected. She only had to be herself, and Lucas would accept her. As the shuttle continued its journey, the stars passing endlessly outside, Vila felt a flicker of hope. She was not alone anymore. She had someone who believed in her, someone who would not abandon her, someone who could see past appearances. And maybe, just maybe, she could learn to see herself the same way. Little did she know that their journey was only beginning. Dangers awaited them, secrets lay hidden, and challenges would test the limits of trust, courage, and loyalty. But for now, in the quiet of the shuttle, in the soft hum of the engines, Vila allowed herself to imagine a life without fear, a life where she could be brave, and a life where she could belong. Lucas glanced at her, noticing the faint change in her expression, the small but real smile she offered. He felt a surge of hope, too. The galaxy had rejected her, mocked her, and feared her. But together, they might prove that courage, trust, and understanding could defy even the harshest judgment. And in that quiet, fleeting moment, far from the judgmental eyes of her world, Vila dared to believe that maybe the human soldier who had chosen her had not only saved her life, but also saved a part of herself. She had thought lost forever. The shuttle moved silently through the cold black of space, stars streaking past like tiny sparks. Lucas Carter kept a careful watch on the instruments. They were far from any friendly systems, traveling through a sector known for pirates and rogue patrols. He had chosen this route to avoid the Korvath Empire, but danger could appear anywhere. Vila sat beside him, her eyes still wide from the events of the past days. She had begun to relax, trusting Lucas more than she ever thought she could, but a quiet tension lingered. She sensed something inside herself, something powerful that she had never dared to show. It scared her, but it also made her feel alive. Do you think we will be safe? She asked quietly. Lucas glanced at her and shook his head. Safety is never guaranteed. We can only stay alert and act wisely. Danger is part of life, Vila. It is how we face it that matters. She nodded, though a small knot of fear twisted in her stomach. She had spent her life hiding from danger, hiding from judgment, hiding from everything. Now, traveling with Lucas, she felt the weight of responsibility. She could not hide anymore, not from him, not from herself. Hours passed quietly. Lucas piloted the shuttle with calm precision, while Vila observed the stars outside. She had grown more comfortable with human technology, and Lucas had encouraged her curiosity, answering questions patiently. Yet a part of her remained uneasy. She had a secret, one she had kept locked away for years. It was not just her appearance that made people fear her, it was the power inside her, a power she had been trained to hide. Lucas, she said finally, her voice trembling, there is something I must tell you. Lucas did not turn immediately. He focused on the controls but nodded. I am listening. Vila took a deep breath. I am not what I seem, my form, the way I look. It is not my true self. It is a shell, a mask. I have hidden who I really am from everyone because it is dangerous. Lucas glanced at her, curious and calm. Dangerous how? Powerful, she said simply. too powerful for most to handle. If others see me as I truly am, they will fear me. They may even try to destroy me. My people, they fear what I can become. Lucas leaned back slightly, considering her words. So that is why you were treated like an outcast, because of your power? Vila nodded. Yes, they call me cursed, ugly, a mistake. But it is not the curse. They fear what I am. I have kept it hidden my whole life, and it has made me safe until now. Lucas reached out and placed a hand on hers. You do not have to hide from me, Vila. I will not be afraid. I will not leave. She looked at him, eyes wide with emotion. No one had ever offered her that kind of acceptance. For a moment, she almost believed it. Almost believed she could show him the truth without losing everything. But before she could speak again, the shuttle shuddered violently. Alarms blared as the lights flickered. What is it? Vila asked, gripping the edge of her seat. Pirates, Lucas said grimly, or someone who wants to capture us. Hold on. The shuttle lurched as missiles struck its hull. Lucas struggled with the controls, firing defensive lasers at the attackers. The ship shook metal, groaning under the stress. Outside, several small, fast ships moved in perfect formation, trying to surround them. Vila's heart raced. Fear surged through her, but another feeling, anger, determination, rose as well. She could not let them die. She could not let Lucas be harmed. Slowly, instinctively, she reached deep inside herself, touching the power she had always kept hidden. A faint glow began to shimmer around her hands. Lucas noticed but did not panic. Instead, he focused on keeping the shuttle steady. What are you doing? He shouted over the alarms. Helping, she cried. I can fight. A sudden burst of energy shot from her fingertips. The attackers' ships were hit by a strange force, thrown backward and disabled before they could fire again. The shuttle lurched as the energy flowed through the air, surrounding Vila with a radiant light. Lucas shielded his eyes for a moment, astonished. He had expected aliens to be strange, but not this. Vila, what is this? He asked, awestruck. My true form, she said, her voice steady now, her fear replaced by focus. I have hidden it for years, but I cannot hide anymore. We are in danger, and I will protect us. As she spoke, her shell began to shift. Her dull, twisted features melted away, replaced by smooth, radiant skin. Her horns straightened, glowing faintly, and her eyes shone with a bright light that seemed to pierce the darkness of space. She was no longer the ugly princess the galaxy had mocked. She was something more, something powerful, almost divine. Lucas stared but did not step back. Instead, he reached for the weapons and fired with renewed confidence, trusting that Vila's power would help guide them. Together, they moved as a team, human skill and alien power combining to fight off the attackers. The battle was fierce. The pirates tried to close in, but Vila's energy pulses pushed them back, her new form radiating power and control. Lucas maneuvered the shuttle with skill, dodging missiles, firing back, and coordinating with Vila. Their synergy was unexpected but effective. Slowly, the attackers began to retreat, unable to match the combination of human precision and alien energy. After what felt like hours but was only minutes, the attackers finally withdrew, leaving the shuttle battered but intact. The alarms ceased, and the silence of space returned, broken only by the hum of the engines. Vila sank into her seat, exhausted but exhilarated. She had revealed herself, shown her true power, and survived. Lucas leaned back, looking at her with a mix of admiration and respect. You saved us, he said simply. I knew you were strong, but this is incredible. She shook her head, trying to calm the energy still radiating from her. I did not know I could control it like that. I was always afraid it would consume me, that it would hurt the wrong people. Lucas reached out again, placing a hand over hers. Then let me help you. You are not alone in this. We face it together. She looked at him, surprised by the calm confidence in his eyes. He had seen the galaxy's horrors, fought in battles she could not imagine, and yet he was not afraid of her. He trusted her, believed in her, and chose to stand by her side. For the first time, Vila felt the possibility of freedom, not just from fear, but from the isolation she had endured her entire life. Together, she whispered. Lucas nodded. Together. The shuttle continued through space, moving away from the site of the attack. Though they were safe for the moment, Vila knew this was only the beginning. Revealing her true form would have consequences. Enemies would come, seeking to capture or destroy her. The galaxy would never look at her the same way again. But with Lucas at her side, she felt a strength she had never known. Lucas, she said after a long pause, if my people see me like this, they will try to stop us. They will think I am dangerous. They will attack us." Lucas glanced at her, his expression calm but serious. "Then we will be ready. You are not alone, Vila. No matter what they think, no matter what they do, we face it together." She felt a surge of courage. For the first time, she did not fear her own power. She accepted it, embraced it, and realized it was a part of who she was. She would not hide it anymore. Not from Lucas, not from the galaxy, not from herself. Hours passed as they repaired minor damage to the shuttle and recovered from the battle. Vila practiced controlling the energy she had unleashed, careful not to overdo it, while Lucas monitored navigation and scanners. Slowly, a rhythm formed between them, Lucas providing stability, guidance, and protection, Vila providing power, intuition, and strength. They were learning to trust each other in a way neither had expected. As the shuttle approached a remote system far from any known patrols, Vila finally spoke again. "Lucas, do you think the galaxy can ever accept me?" Lucas looked at her, his eyes steady. "Maybe not all of it. But that does not matter. We do not live for the galaxy. We live for ourselves, for those we care about. You have the power to survive, to protect, and to change things, and I will stand with you." She felt a warmth in her chest, a feeling she had long forgotten. Hope, trust. The faintest hint of love, perhaps, though she did not yet name it. Lucas had seen her not as ugly, not as cursed, not as a weapon, but as herself, strong, brave, and capable. The stars stretched endlessly outside the shuttle windows, silent witnesses to their bond. Dangers awaited, enemies would come, and challenges would test their limits. But for now, Vila and Lucas had found something rare and precious: trust, courage, and the first step toward a life where they did not have to hide. And as the shuttle moved deeper into the unknown, Vila allowed herself to feel something she had never dared to imagine. Freedom. The shuttle glided silently through the stars, but the quiet was only temporary. News traveled fast in the galaxy, faster than any shuttle or messenger. Reports of the human soldier who had chosen the ugly princess spread like wildfire. Then word of Vila's true form and the energy she had unleashed during the pirate attack reached the Galactic Council and the Korvath Empire. In the council chambers, leaders of many species gathered, voices raised in alarm. Some feared her power, calling it unnatural and dangerous. Others whispered of a god disguised as a girl, an omen that could change the balance of the galaxy. Every representative demanded action. Some wanted her captured, others wanted Lucas punished for siding with her. The air was tense with fear and uncertainty. "We cannot allow this," said a tall alien with 4 arms, his voice sharp. "She is too powerful. If left unchecked, she could destroy worlds." "Yet," said another, a small, fur-covered alien, "she was chosen by a human. Perhaps he sees something we do not. Perhaps we should hear him before acting." The debate went on for hours, but no decision satisfied everyone. Fear outweighed reason, and many representatives already had their minds made up. Some were willing to go to war to eliminate Vila. Others were merely curious, wanting to see her in action before judging. Far away, Vila and Lucas remained unaware of the council's panic. The shuttle moved through uncharted space, the stars streaking past as they planned their next steps. Vila had begun to control her energy more reliably, learning when to use it and when to hold back. She felt more confident, more herself than she ever had before. Lucas watched her quietly. "You are getting stronger," he said. "More control, that is good." She nodded, a small smile on her face. "I never thought I could do this without fear, without hiding, yet now I feel powerful but not dangerous. I can choose what to do with it." Lucas smiled. "And that choice makes all the difference. Power alone is nothing. How you use it matters." Vila looked at him, gratitude shining in her eyes. She wanted to say more, to express how much his presence meant to her, but words felt small. She had lived her life isolated, and now she realized that someone truly saw her, her power, her courage, and her heart. Lucas had chosen her for who she was, not for what others told him she should be. Their quiet was shattered when the shuttle's alarms suddenly blared. Lucas's hands flew over the controls, scanning the readings. "We have company," he said grimly. Outside the shuttle, several ships appeared, moving in formation. They bore the insignia of the Korvath Empire. Lucas's heart sank. The Empire had sent forces to capture Vila, likely under orders from the Council. She would not survive capture, and he would not allow it. "They are coming for us," Lucas said, his voice steady despite the tension. "We have to defend ourselves." Vila's eyes widened, but she did not panic. Instead, she focused, feeling the energy within her, ready to use it if needed. "I will help," she said, her voice firm. "We fight together." Lucas nodded. "We always have." The battle began. Korvath ships fired, and Lucas maneuvered the shuttle with skill, dodging missiles and returning fire. Vila extended her hands, releasing controlled pulses of energy that disabled or destroyed the enemy ships. Her light filled the void of space, radiant and powerful. The attackers faltered, unprepared for the combination of human skill and alien energy. Yet the Korvath forces were relentless. More ships arrived, and Lucas realized they could not outrun them all. He turned to Vila. "We may have to fight our way through them." "Can you hold your energy for long?" Vila nodded. "I can, but it will take everything I have." Lucas took a deep breath. "Then we fight together, trust me." They moved as a team, Lucas piloting and firing while Vila's energy cut through the enemy. She controlled it carefully, not to harm the shuttle or any innocent nearby. Each pulse was precise, each burst deliberate. She had never used her power like this before, and yet under Lucas's calm guidance, she managed it with skill. Finally, after what felt like hours, the Korvath ships retreated. They did not destroy Lucas's shuttle, but their message was clear. The Council would not allow Vila to escape. They would pursue her, using all resources available. Vila sank into her seat, exhausted but alive. Lucas placed a hand on her shoulder. "You did well. We are safe for now." "For now," she whispered, knowing the threat was far from over. They continued through space, seeking a safe haven where they could regroup. Lucas contacted human allies discreetly, arranging for supplies and intelligence. Vila practiced controlling her energy, learning the limits of her power and understanding that she was not just a weapon, but also a being with choices and responsibility. Days later, as they rested in a hidden outpost on a small moon, news reached them through secure channels. The Galactic Council had convened an emergency session. Leaders were furious, demanding that Lucas be punished and Vila turned over. Some humans argued for intervention, insisting that she posed no threat if left free, while others called for immediate action. Vila listened quietly as Lucas read the reports. "They do not understand," he said finally. "They see only power, not the person. They see fear, not courage. They think controlling you will protect them. They are wrong." She nodded, a small fire kindling in her chest. "Then we must show them," she said. "Show them that I am not a weapon, that I am not a monster, that I am me." Lucas smiled faintly. "And we will, together." The next step was clear. They could not hide forever. The Council would come for them eventually. If Vila wanted freedom, if she wanted to prove that she could exist without fear and without hiding, they would have to confront the galaxy. Lucas would stand by her as he always had, ready to defend her with his life if necessary. Preparations began. Vila trained, pushing her control further, learning to harness her energy without fear. Lucas worked on strategy, anticipating possible attacks and planning their moves carefully. They practiced together, forming a rhythm and understanding that neither could have done alone. Through it all, a bond grew stronger. Trust, respect, and an unspoken connection deepened between them. Vila began to understand what Lucas had seen in her, the strength, the courage, and the capacity for compassion that others had ignored. And Lucas realized that Vila was more than her power or her appearance. She was clever, brave, and determined, with a heart that matched her strength. As the day approached when they would have to face the Council's forces, Vila felt a mixture of fear and excitement. She knew that revealing herself fully would have consequences, but she also understood that hiding would not protect her anymore. Lucas would not allow her to hide, and she no longer wished to. "Are you ready?" Lucas asked, his eyes steady, his voice calm. Vila took a deep breath, feeling the energy within her controlled and steady. "I am ready," she said. "Let them see who I truly am." Lucas nodded. "Then we go together, no fear, no hiding, just us." The shuttle lifted off the moon, moving toward the nearest system where they could make their stand. Outside, stars streaked past, silent witnesses to their determination. The galaxy would not see the same Vila it had once mocked. They would see her as she was, strong, courageous, and free. And Lucas, the human soldier who had chosen her when no one else would stand at her side, defending her, believing in her, and proving that trust, courage, and determination could change even the course of the galaxy. The Council would come. Enemies would arrive. The galaxy would be forced to face the truth. And in that moment, Vila and Lucas were ready. Together, they would show the universe that power alone did not define a person, and that courage, loyalty, and the choice to stand for what is right were the greatest forces of all. For the first time, Vila felt truly alive, free to be herself, and strong enough to face whatever the galaxy might send their way. Lucas had chosen her, defended her, and trusted her. Now, together, they would challenge the galaxy to see the truth. The shuttle moved steadily through space, carrying Lucas and Vila toward the system where the Galactic Council had gathered. Word had spread that Vila was no longer hiding, that she had revealed her true form, and that a human soldier had chosen her and stood by her side. The council was in chaos, divided between fear, curiosity, and anger. They would see her soon, and the galaxy would finally have to face the truth. Vila sat quietly beside Lucas, her hands resting on the edge of her seat. The energy within her was calm, controlled, no longer a wild force threatening everything around her. She had learned to harness it, to shape it, to use it only when needed. She felt a mixture of fear and resolve. She had lived her life hiding, avoiding, shrinking, but now she would stand tall no matter what happened. Lucas glanced at her, his eyes steady, full of trust and reassurance. "You are ready," he said softly, "and whatever happens, we face it together." Vila nodded, feeling a warmth in her chest. She had never known anyone like him. He saw her, not the shell she had hidden in, not the fear the galaxy had projected onto her, but her true self, brave, strong, and capable. He had chosen her when no one else would. Now she had to honor that choice. As the shuttle entered the system, council ships began to gather around them. Sleek and intimidating, they formed a barrier, weapons aimed, scanners active. Lucas piloted carefully, avoiding unnecessary provocation, but he knew the council would demand answers and they might not allow them to leave without confrontation. "Remember," he said quietly, "we show them who you are, nothing more, nothing less." Vila drew a slow breath. She felt the energy within her pulse gently, steady and calm. "I will," she said. "I am ready." The shuttle docked at the council station, a massive structure floating in orbit above a neutral planet. A group of representatives boarded, their faces a mix of fear, suspicion, and awe. They had expected an ugly, weak princess, or perhaps someone they could control. Instead, they found Vila radiant, calm, and strong, standing beside a human who was not afraid of her. "Princess Vila," the head of the council said, his voice formal but tense, "you have revealed yourself without authorization. This power you wield is dangerous. We demand explanation." Vila stepped forward, her presence commanding without effort. "I am not dangerous," she said firmly. "I am who I am. I have lived in hiding because you feared me, mocked me, and called me cursed. I have never sought to harm anyone. I only want to exist, to live, to be free," the council murmured. Some representatives were shocked, others skeptical. One of the older aliens hissed, "She is lying. That power could destroy planets." Lucas stepped beside her. "She is telling the truth," he said firmly. "I have seen her fight, yes, but only in defense. She is not a weapon to be feared. She is a person to be respected, and I will stand with her no matter what you decide." The chamber fell silent. It was rare for a human to speak so boldly in front of the council, and even rarer for one to confront them with such authority. Murmurs rippled through the room, some in support, some in disbelief. Vila continued, her voice steady and clear. "You fear what you do not understand, but I am not here to destroy. I am here to live. And if you continue to judge me by fear and appearances, you will only reveal your own weakness, not mine." The words hung in the air. Some representatives looked away, ashamed. Others clenched their fists, unwilling to admit she might be right. A few humans in the council stations nodded quietly, inspired by Lucas's courage and Vila's clarity. Then, a loud alarm sounded. A faction of the Korvath Empire, refusing to recognize Vila as anything but a threat, attacked the station. Ships breached the perimeter, weapons fired, chaos erupted. Lucas quickly moved to defend Vila, piloting their shuttle through the station's docking area while Vila's energy flared in controlled bursts, stopping attackers without harming the innocent council members. Together, they moved through the corridors, disabling enemy forces with precision. Lucas guided her, calm under pressure, while Vila's power shone bright and controlled. The attackers faltered, unable to match the combination of human skill and alien energy. As the battle raged, Vila spoke quietly to Lucas. "We cannot keep hiding, we cannot keep running. The galaxy must see that I am not a weapon, that I choose to control my power, that I choose life, not fear." Lucas nodded. Then we show them, all of them. At the central chamber they paused. Council representatives and human allies gathered, watching. Vila stepped forward, radiating controlled energy. "I am Vila," she said, voice strong. "I am not cursed, I am not ugly, I am not a weapon for your fear. I am alive, I am free, and I choose to live peacefully. Those who wish to see me as a monster will be disappointed. Those who wish to see me as a person will see what I truly am." The chamber was silent, stunned by her presence and her words. Even her harshest critics could not deny the calm authority she radiated, nor the human soldier who stood beside her, unwavering and protective. Then, a senior human diplomat spoke. "We have watched the courage of Sergeant Lucas Carter and Princess Vila. Humans know fear, but we also know choice. And the choice to protect, to trust, and to see each other as equals is the greatest strength of all. We support them." One by one, humans in the chamber voiced their agreement. Some aliens followed, seeing the courage and truth in Vila's words. The Korvath attackers hesitated, realizing they could not fight a person who chose compassion and a soldier who chose loyalty over fear. The council head finally spoke, voice heavy with reluctant respect. "Princess Vila, human soldier, you have forced the galaxy to reconsider. Your courage and honesty are undeniable. We cannot undo what has been done, nor can we erase your power. We must find a new path, one that does not punish you for being who you are." Vila lowered her hands, the energy fading gently, controlled and calm. She looked at Lucas, who smiled reassuringly. "We do not need permission to exist," Lucas said quietly. "We only need to stand for ourselves." The council murmured, some reluctantly accepting, others still wary, but all aware that the balance of power had changed. Fear no longer ruled the chamber. Courage, honesty, and trust had won, proving that even in a galaxy full of judgment and prejudice, a single choice could change the course of events. As the days passed, Vila became a symbol not of fear, but of courage. Her people, once ashamed of her, began to see her as a leader in her own right, a person who had faced judgment and emerged stronger. Lucas continued to stand by her, a constant presence, a reminder that humanity's greatest strength was not in weapons or size, but in trust, loyalty, and the courage to do what is right. The galaxy slowly adjusted. Systems that had mocked or feared her now treated her with respect. The council created a new role for her, not as a weapon, not as a tool, but as a representative of those who had been rejected, misunderstood, or underestimated. Vila accepted it, not for power or glory, but to ensure that no one else would be forced to hide who they truly were. One evening, as the stars passed outside the council station's windows, Vila and Lucas stood together, looking out at the galaxy. She felt a calm she had never known, a sense of belonging and purpose. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for choosing me, for believing in me, for standing with me." Lucas smiled, placing a hand over hers. "I only saw what everyone else refused to see. You are strong, brave, and worthy. I only did what anyone should do, stand for someone they trust." Vila nodded, feeling a warmth in her chest. For the first time, she felt fully seen, fully accepted, and fully alive. The galaxy had been harsh, judgmental, and fearful, but she had survived, thrived, and found her place. "So, what now?" she asked, a small smile on her face. "Now," Lucas said, "we continue, we live, we protect those who cannot protect themselves. We face the galaxy together, no hiding, no fear." And together they did. The human soldier who had chosen the ugly princess had not been foolish, as so many believed. He had chosen courage, loyalty, and a brave soul. Vila, once hidden and mocked, had revealed her true self and changed the galaxy's view of power, fear, and acceptance. The stars outside seemed brighter that night, as if the universe itself recognized their triumph, not in battle, but in the courage to be seen, to be trusted, and to be free. And in that quiet, endless space, Lucas and Vila stood together, ready to face whatever came next, knowing that together they could change worlds, inspire hearts, and prove that true strength is measured not by appearance, but by courage, compassion, and the choices one makes. The galaxy had learned a lesson it would not forget. The human soldier had chosen wisely, and the princess, once called ugly, had shown them all the true meaning of power. And so their story continued, not as a tale of fear or war, but as a story of trust, bravery, and the strength to be oneself.